All right, hello and welcome to the Player to Coach podcast. I am your host, Josh Hill. Alongside me, my former teammate, good friend, and now co host, Jordan Alexander. He's repping it out in his car today. So we got a nice little
That's right.
podcast situation going on. How's your week been going? I know you got a lot of stuff going on with school and with the team and, things getting going.
It's been busy. Yeah. Wasn't able to be on the pod last week. Just schedule's kind of crazy right now with basketball, from when I wake up to just before I go to bed. So, yeah, it's all day right now, but that's kind of real life, of being a college basketball coach. So, yeah, it's going really well. Things are going good. It's a lot of fun. It's just full days. So finding any sort of free time to do the pod or uh, you know kick back and watch a game or anything like that right now is kind of limited. But yeah, things are going good. So yeah, how about you? How are things?
It's good. I'm in It's been good. I have this I wanted to bring this up, wasn't sure how it was going to come up, but here we are. I have this toxic trait that I have to share with everyone that for for the last like year or two, been super inconsistent with my own like fitness and just staying in shape. But in the last 2 weeks, started going to this gym. It's awesome, has a court there, awesome equipment, just like great setup. So I've been going for like 2 weeks straight. And so my toxic trait is like in the back of my mind. Once I start getting shots up, my shot feels good again. Start, get the legs under me and that kind of stuff. My toxic trait is, Josh, you have 2 years of NAIA eligibility left. You never know what might happen. So, but I
That's
have to
funny.
constantly remind myself of that is definitely not going to happen. I'm not going to say definitely. I'm not going to rule anything out, but I really need to stop doing that to myself because I get way too excited and then I start training way too hard just to be a regular person in this world. Doesn't make any sense. Got a few suicides in the other day, shoot some free throws
Wow.
in between, really pushing myself. So doesn't make any sense. But again, that's my toxic trait. So welcome to share.
Sometimes I do feel that. Sometimes you get the urge to be who you once were, like as an athlete. So I get it. You kind of miss the grind sometimes. I get it.
Definitely. It's that,
Yeah.
it's that productive pain where you're like, it's for the cause. But then you're like, oh, I go sit at a desk for 9 hours straight. Like, I don't necessarily need to be in that good of shape to do that. But anyway, so we're gonna just hop right into it. So this is gonna be a fascinating podcast. So we're gonna be talking about a lot of things that are impossible to know, are impossible to compare, but we're going to pretend like we know, and we're going to pretend like we can actually compare. So if that makes any sense to you, just stay along for the ride. So we're going to start off with NBA to NFL player comparisons, player to player, completely different sports, completely different skill set. We're going to be comparing players, and I assume we don't know each other's list, so this is going to be fun to kind of go through this and share. I'm sure there are going to be some funny explanations of why we chose these players to compare, but um, I think I'm just going to go ahead and read off my list all the way through, kind of give my explanation, and then I'll just hand it over to you. That sounds good.
Sure. Yeah. I
All
might
right.
have a few comments depending on what you
Okay.
say.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. For sure. Okay.
Okay.
So
All right.
I have LeBron and Tom Brady. Feel like that's kind of obviously the athleticism is a little bit disrespectful to put those two on the same level, but as far as career achievements, the amount of times that they're both in the finals and or the Super Bowl, just that lengthy period of dominance, I feel like that's a pretty easy comparison to make. Obviously, I couldn't see Brady doing half of the things that LeBron can do athleticism wise, but hey, we're comparing two completely different sports. So I have a LeBron Tom Brady comparison as my
So
top one.
obviously you have to be a current player then.
Yeah. That's what I was going off of. Obviously, we were prepared a lot for this episode.
Okay.
But so that's just what I did. You can go whatever route you would like to.
Well,
My next one,
the only
go
reason I
ahead.
ask, and this is a completely different argument or discussion, is who your goat is, right? So, I
Okay.
mean, the other comparison is MJ and Tom Brady. So, just gonna
That's
throw
fair.
that out there. Play
That is
devil's
very
advocate
true.
a little
I'm
bit.
not I'm not trying to stir up too many of the old heads. in this one.
With the
I've
longevity,
only
I completely agree. I completely
right.
agree with the longevity. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's where we're at. Next one, I have Kevin Durant and Aaron Rodgers. I feel like they're both, I feel like they're both recognized as like guys that are like very top tier talent all time in their position, and a lot of people really hate them.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a good like uber
Or you love
talented.
them, or you
Right,
love them.
right. Like yeah, like complete polar opposites or whatever. And
Yeah.
controversial players for very different reasons, obviously, but both kind of in that like you can't deny how talented like historically they are and how dominant they are. And then you kind of wish they've both won more championships as far as how talented they are. But then, on the flip side, you have people that are diehards or people that just absolutely hate their guts. So
Josh, that's a really good one.
thank you. I feel really good about that one.
As soon as Aaron Rodgers is no longer a Green Bay Packer, then we're like spot on.
That's true. Um,
Yeah, because that'll happen. That's gonna happen. It almost already did.
it almost already he almost just like straight up left, which I don't think that's something that Kevin Durant would do as far as just retire when he's clearly still, able to do his thing. But who knows? He's a different kind
Yeah,
of guy.
Katie does
Um,
like to leave though. We'll leave it at that.
all right. I had to throw that one in there. My next one, I'm actually really proud of this one. I have Steph Curry and Patrick Mahomes. I feel like they both give off a very
Mm,
similar vibe of like baby face, really loose, really talented, kind of just electrifying players, like from an eye view. Yeah, they
okay,
both just give me that like just put up heck of points type of dudes. And they both have that kind of baby face vibe to me. I don't know.
I like that. Good
Felt good
one.
about that one.
Yeah,
I
that's
do
a
say
top
so
tier
myself.
comparison.
Yeah. All right, next one. I have Zion Williams and Derrick Henry as a NFL NBA comparison, both just purely because it's like similar to when Zion, like you could like whenever you watch Zion, like he's gonna get to his left hand, and like who the heck is gonna get in front of him and stop him from getting to his left hand? Same thing with Derrick Henry. Like everyone knows they're gonna run the ball like 70% of the time. And the only way that they get passes off is when they play action to him. So just both dogs. Can't stop them.
Yeah, yeah. Williamson and Henry, they're beasts for sure. Yeah.
For sure. I feel bad about this one. But uh so I I have Russell Westbrook and Lamar Jackson. This is like early Lamar Jackson, I
Hmm,
might say. They're both just like freak show athletes that you can like build your whole entire team around. In
mhm.
early Lamar Jackson, there was complaints about his accuracy. And I think throwing that in with current Westbrook, who seems to struggle with his jump shot, guys who can just out athlete other people and be dominant at their sport. I feel like that was
Yeah,
kind of a good they're both quarterbacks in a sense of, Westbrook's a point guard, runs the offense. And then obviously Lamar is a quarterback. So felt good about that one as well. I think Lamar has improved dramatically as a thrower, and there's no legitimate critique of his accuracy at all. So it's kind of an early Westbrook, early Lamar
yeah.
comparison.
That's a
Uh,
good one.
this one's pretty out of left field, so I'm not really sure how I feel about this one, but I put it on my list. So I have John Morant and OBJ, both
Hmm.
guys who are just like swag unlimited and just like do spectacular things on the playing field and or the court. So I don't know how I feel about that one, but I just felt like the swag level was on.
I think that's a good one because I feel like a few years ago, like and we were just talking about Westbrook. I think in Westbrook's prime, he was the easy comparison to OBJ. And Morant's kind of like that new sort of like flash in the NBA with the athleticism and crazy plays. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's a good replacement. Yeah, that's a good one.
felt good about that one. All right, that's my list of comparisons.
Okay. Well, my list is a lot shorter with comparisons. I only have two, and they're not common ones or things that you can just find on the internet or anything like that. So my first one is Anthony Edwards and Jameis Winston. Um,
Why?
literally only two reasons. Okay, both of them former number one picks. Okay, the second reason, they are absolutely hilarious in the media. Hilarious. Anthony Edwards tries to be funny. Okay, Winston is inadvertently funny. Um, Winston in his college days was in the media for not great reasons, but since he's been an NFL quarterback, he's just like hilarious. His pregame motivational speeches are awful, which just makes them funny. His answers to questions are hilarious. And Anthony Edwards is just like, he has to be like the media's favorite person to interview. The dude is just a comic up there. So, completely different reasons than what you gave. It has nothing to do with their abilities, like in their sport. Okay. Um, my second one
Wait, real quick.
is
Uh,
okay. Yeah.
I think my only critique on that one is that Jameis Winston is funny, but from a cringy standpoint, I don't find
Oh,
Anthony Edwards
yeah.
cringy by any means. But I do agree that they're both kind of
I
like
agree.
media darlings, if you would say. But
I'm with that.
Jameis is, he thinks he's like really getting him going, and everyone's like, stop chewing on your fingers, eating W's. Like that's not a.
It's
I don't think
true.
that's a
It's true.
thing.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Ah,
It's
please.
awful. It is cringe. I'll
So
give you that.
that's my only critique is that one is extremely cringy and the other one is just a hilarious human. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. My other one, you actually used one of these players already, but I actually have a different comparison. I have LaMelo Ball and Patrick Mahomes. Um, just because of the flashy passing ability. And they're both must see TV at this current point in their career. Especially Mahomes, just like he still is, but early in his career, he was must see TV, and LaMelo's must see TV. So, yeah, the passing ability,
Mm,
and just the ability to be on a highlight play, I guess
right.
is the reason why.
That's a good one. It's funny. As you said that, I thought of another one. I'm curious your thoughts on it. So, what do you think about Patrick Beverly and oh my gosh, I'm gonna space his name. Um Jalen Ramsey.
Mm,
Just like shorter, talks so much trash, just like unlimited confidence type guys. And they're both positions where like you can really dominate in a play, but you can also really get burned at the same time.
yep.
Like more so Ramsey, where like a corner is probably like one of the most impossible jobs in the world. Like you're literally guarding the fastest people on the planet going backwards. Like
Yeah.
that in and of itself. But I think they both just have that like if my confidence and if my trash talk level is like on 100, then like I'll figure it out. But
Yeah. That's a good one. I agree with it. You think of it just in examples like Beverly has gotten stops on star players and then gets burned the next play. And
right.
literally just this last week that happened to Ramsey with Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, that I think
Um,
that's why it came to my mind. I was like, huh, kind of catchy.
so yeah, that's a really good one actually.
Okay.
Nice.
So there's that. There's some player comparisons from two different professional games, and some of them don't make any sense, but here we go. All right, I'm gonna let you start off with your list on this one. So we're gonna go NBA players that you think could actually play in the NFL, like for real. And obviously, this is like extremely disrespectful to both NBA players and NFL players when you look at just being able to switch pro sport to pro sport. Not only just like talent wise, effort wise, mindset wise, completely different game, but here we are about to just put that on them. So here we go.
I do feel like though, just to add to what you said, it's hmm, I don't know. For
What the fuck?
I feel like basketball players could translate to football easier than a football player can translate to basketball. That's just my opinion. Now, with that being said, I do understand that there's a lot of guys in the NBA that probably can't take a hit in the NFL.
Mhm.
So I get that. But from a skill standpoint, basketball players can catch, they can throw passes. Football players can't shoot. And I know that from experience. So
Yes.
yeah,
You're all
that's my disclaimer.
I'll say this. You can I think it's very easy to tell when like you go to a court and you're watching a game of pickup who plays football. Like it's very
Yeah.
easy to spot them. They run
Yeah, they're
like a
trying to play
box
bully
and they like
ball.
run routes versus being able to be smooth and all that stuff. And I mean basically the other the other thing, I think you're right about the and obviously this is a basketball podcast and we both play basketball, so it's probably really easy for us to say that we could that basketball players can more easily play football. I think there is a disclaimer in there where I think you have a better chance of being a good football player because you're just a good athlete, but I think the like major difference is mindset. Like I think you could be weaker mentally and be a good basketball player than like be someone who's like mentally weak and play football because it takes like legitimate courage to be like, I'm gonna go ram my head into other people every single day, like for practice. Like I feel like it's easy the thought of getting up for a game, like so much adrenaline and go just take people out. But then you remember there's like 3 4 days of practice in between games, no adrenaline, no energy, still giving and taking hits, like all that kind of stuff is where it's like that is like
Grueling.
not a lot of athletes can mentally get through that. So there's
Well,
our
I know for myself, I'm not trained. I was never trained to be able to take a hit or even, lay a hit. So like yeah, that's the one thing I think between the sports, like if you're trying to jump from basketball to football that you can't really be prepared for unless you've been training for that.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay. All right. So I have my list. I'm gonna just go for it. Okay.
Go for it.
I think the most obvious is LeBron. Okay. He was
Yep.
already a good high school football player. Um, he would be a 6'8", 250 plus pound wide receiver. Put him anywhere on the field. He's catching tight end. He's going to out jump you. He's going to outrun you. Um, one thing that people forget sometimes when talking about these types of things is that basketball players in general are a lot bigger than football players. Like
Oh yeah.
football players look huge on the field, but then you put him next to a basketball player and the guy's like 6 to 8 inches taller than him. So um, let's not forget that when we're doing this. Okay, the other one,
Half the point guards in the NBA would be monster sized receivers. Like
yeah,
talk about
yeah,
monster sized receiver at 6'2". It's like, yeah, you're freaking tiny on the court. You
for
bring
sure.
that over. Anyway, go ahead.
Russell Westbrook, just because of how explosive he is or has been during his prime. Um, his ability to, yeah, play receiver is probably, and I would put him at like cornerback or safety too.
Yeah.
Um, I think he could hit somebody. I think he could play good defense. That's a good one. Okay, one that no one probably would talk about really, and it's my favorite one that I wrote down is Desmond Bain. Um, he is the shooting guard
Dog.
for the Grizzlies. Literally looks like a running back. Um, he's probably taller than most running backs, but he's built like a fullback.
Oh yeah.
He's kind of got those short arms. He's compact. Um, he's probably very hard to tackle, and he's fast. So I'm gonna go with Desmond Bain at my starting running back. Um, that would be awesome. Okay, I got a few more. Jimmy Butler. Um, he's gonna lock you up, and you're not getting open. Um, I also think he could potentially play quarterback in my lineup, potentially. So yeah, he's dual threat. Um, Kevin Durant. This is a throwback to the NBA lockout when KD and LeBron were playing flag football. If I had a 7 foot wide receiver, oh my gosh. Anytime I get even within distance to throw it down in the end zone, go get it.
That's the only time you could use him though. Like red zone
Yeah,
plays because anywhere else they're not letting him leave the line.
that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. He's like You know how
specialty.
football there's like running backs that are like goal line backs, right? He's my goal
Yeah,
line receiver, and we're throwing fade routes all day till he catches one.
for sure.
Okay. Okay. Here's a super random one, and he's a rookie. He hasn't even played an NBA game yet, but I got to watch him in person at the NBA Summer League, and I've watched him in college. Jalen Duren from the Detroit Pistons, who should be the next Ben Wallace. That guy is built and should play football. Like he is
Yeah.
huge. Okay. I think if you know how the best tight ends in the NFL have basically been like college basketball players.
So
Um,
many
I
of
think
them. It's
I
crazy.
think without even knowing if he was a football player ever, I think he translates right away to that position on the field. Just a physical specimen. Um, I was trying to be unique here and pick guys that maybe weren't
Yeah,
on your list.
that's
Okay.
good.
Um, Now my last one, I'm weirdly not confident about this one. So I want to get your take because he might not have ever played football before coming to the States, and that's Giannis. Um,
Hmm.
I don't even know, like, who knows if, you know, he would be able to or not. Um, I'm assuming just from a physical standpoint, he's, unguardable. He could catch anything. Um,
Yeah.
he could probably block just about everyone.
Hmm.
Um, he could play D line and just bat down pass balls. So I don't know. What are your thoughts? He's not,
I
you know, being from Greece. Like, what are your thoughts on
right.
that?
I I, I think I have both him and Kevin Durant on my list as honorable
Okay,
mentions. I,
good.
I think I'd put Giannis over Kevin Durant in that sense, just purely because he is like bigger than Kevin Durant, even though they weigh the exact same. I don't know if you've seen that. There's like this thing like that.
Yeah, come on,
You're saying cap to that or what?
dude. Kevin Durant's been lying about his height and all that forever. What are you talking about? There's no way. There's no way they weigh the same.
I don't know. They might.
Do you actually believe that?
I don't know. How much?
There's no way. There's no way. Look at a picture of Giannis from when he came in the league till now, and then do the same for KD. The
I don't
difference
know.
is unbelievable.
For sure. I don't know. I'd have to see.
We're
I don't
talking
know.
about arguably the greatest physical specimen that has played in the NBA
It's true.
versus Kevin Durant.
I don't know. Bodies are sometimes weird, dude. I don't know how
Yeah,
to explain it. So it's that's one of
that
those
doesn't
things
pass the
where
eye test for me.
oh, for sure. I mean, there's lots of things that don't. So we already got my honorable mentions out of the way, KD and Giannis. The first one, I feel like, okay, you went with kind of more unique players, as you said. Mine are probably the most obvious ones. All but one of them are current players. So I'm going to get the former one out of the way. Shaq, like, let's be honest, he would absolutely kill everybody. Like, let's not even talk about that one any more than we have to. Be D line, just absolutely kill people. It is what it is. He'd like you could triple team him, but like you still can't throw to that side because he's twice the size as like Russell Wilson, like
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
twice. So like he takes up half of the field at the line of scrimmage. So too much of a freak. LeBron, obviously, I mean, during the lockout, I'm pretty sure he got a contract offer from both the Cowboys and the Seahawks. So like, what are we even talking about? Um, it's LeBron. Like he probably could have been the number one pick going to the NFL if that's how he wanted to go, and if that was allowed in football. Like he absolutely dominant. Just look at his high school stats. Um, Zion, like, what are we talking about? He's basically Derrick Henry already. So um, I think Zion would do very well for himself. Either as a running back or D lineman. Obviously he can jump out of the gym, but like I mean, that could make him a good tight end because that's where tight ends are most useful, where like they're faster than linebackers, but also secondary usually need a little bit of help getting them to the ground. So I think Zion will obviously do very well. I think Zion would do very well in a lot of sports, basically anything with contact. I think he would do very well. Um, just because of the athlete that he is. This one, PJ Tucker, he's just built like a football player. I don't know why he plays
Mm.
basketball. He's like so stocky. And even when you look at him, I mean, like kind of like Mama Durant was saying a few years back, like, hey, this ain't football. I don't know if you remember that, but I
Yep.
mean, could have just been speaking straight to my pick. So I think he'd be a good football player. I see him more as like a linebacker, kind of that spot where he's not massive, but he's also not slender by any means. So, you know,
Yep.
get the job done. He could plug some gaps. Isaiah Stewart literally ran through half of his own team to try to go kill LeBron. So, like, the odds that he couldn't make that translate to the NFL, I find hard to believe. So yeah, I mean, he's so massive. I mean, like, it sounds like the Pistons is basically just building a football team, but with
Yeah.
basketball jerseys on, by the sound of it.
The new
Um,
Lions question mark.
yeah, I mean, we could we could circle back to that one. But I mean, another one similar body type is Julius Randle. That dude is so like he's so jacked. And like, yes, he's still way taller. And that's the thing, like everyone that we just mentioned would be like a foot taller than everybody in the NFL. But yeah, it really just comes down to how like compact and strong you are. Because you really can't be that like if you're gonna be more slender and quick, you have to be really short.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, you can't be that tall of a corner. Like it just doesn't work like that. But I think, yeah, I think some of these guys like Julius Randle are just they're tall enough to where or they're big enough to where their height I don't think takes as big of a hit to them in their production. But yeah, and then I have my honorable mention that we were talking about Kevin Durant and Giannis, which go against every argument that we just made about height and how big you are. But you know, well, there you have it. Uh, thanks for tuning into the podcast today. Kind of a little offbeat from what we've done before. Feel like it was necessary though. The NFL season just kicked off, and like, what better thing to talk about than the NFL and somehow looping in basketball to that topic? So, you know, kind of next level podcast stuff. Thank you for tuning in to episode 17. Whatever you're doing, you know, just driving to work, driving back from work, if you guys are just working on chores around the house, or if you happen to like just sit down and watch the whole entire episode, do nothing else, I really admire your dedication to this podcast. So thank you for all of your support. For those who listen, and tune in next week for another podcast.